Hello, I'm Katie Bignell,
And I'm Brooke Davis.
and we will be sharing our final presentation for our service learning class today. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll pull up the PowerPoint. All right, so we did our service learning with Habitat for Humanity, so we're going to tell you a little bit about that today.
All right, Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit Christian housing organization, and it was founded in 1976. There are over 4 million people sheltered in Habitat homes around the world, and it is the 16th largest home builder in the United States. Approximately every 6 minutes, there is a new Habitat house being built or renovated somewhere around the world. Habitat for Humanity's Quad Cities is an affiliate, and it was formed in 1993. They build approximately 5 to 7 homes per year in the Quad Cities, and they anticipate that number increasing next year. They provide shelter for 450 individuals, and they have over 3,000 people who volunteer annually in this area. The funding comes from different organizations, individuals donating their money and time, businesses, foundations, and faith communities. And it's really impressive. They only have a 6.9% overhead. So that means 93 cents of each dollar donated goes to the actual home building program. And that is a really good number as far as charities go. Their mission is for Habitat Humanity Quad Cities is empowered by God to bring people together to build and renovate homes, to revitalize our community, and to restore our hope.
Okay, so just a couple applicants, a little bit about the applicants. So to be eligible, the household income needs to be no lower than $26,000 per year. This is to ensure that the applicants can pay for their mortgage and not get into a situation where they won't be able to actually make the mortgage payments. They can't have any liens, judgments, or major collections out for them, and any bankruptcy needs to have been closed and settled at least 2 years prior to that, but they would prefer no bankruptcy at all. The applicants cannot be a current homeowner, but that does not include ownership of a trailer. Many of the applicants are living in apartments or rental homes, so that doesn't seem to be an issue. And they need to be a legal resident of the United States by the time that they take ownership of the house. So that does not mean that they need to be a legal resident at the time of application and moving forward, but they need to be in the process of gaining their residency in the United States. So what Habitat for Humanity does is they partner with families on a needs base, and that also means that there has to be an ability to pay a mortgage and a willingness to partner for at least 250 sweat equity hours per adult. So those equity hours don't need to be on the actual home that they will be moving into, but it does mean that they get to help out other future homeowners with their builds. They help educate homeowners on budgeting, home maintenance, financial management, predatory lending, and the most important is conflict resolution. So those are all classes that the homeowners are able to take as part of their ability to actually be one of the homeowners. There's 3 different styles of homes. Most of them are going to be around 1,100 square feet. There are a couple models that are a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. They're usually 3 to 4 bedroom and 1 to 2 bath, depending on the family size. And each of the homes cost roughly $100,000 at fair market value, but they sell the homes to the partner families for about $80,000 to $85,000 to make sure that the payments can be affordable. The purchasers, the future homeowners, need to have at least 1% down, but they are no interest loans, loan mortgages, and Habitat for Humanity is the mortgage holder. So they don't pay anything more than 30% of their household income. And Habitat Restore, which is a store that Habitat owns that gets donations, and it has all volunteer base working there. They resell new and gently used building materials, furniture, medical equipment, and that helps to go towards keeping those mortgage payment or mortgage loans low for the families. So just a few little things of how Habitat has helped the actual Quad Cities area is they contribute over $110,000 to the tax base. And that's a 2016 statistic. They provide secure and consistent homes for families who might not be able to afford a regular home at market value. They allow the families to afford necessities such as food, clothing, and medicine in some situations. They help break the cycle of generational poverty, and that's really important when we think about what the big impact for Habitat for Humanity is. So it helps not only just the family, but generations after that. They provide educational stability for the students or the children so that they're not changing schools as the parents might have to move depending on what they can afford. So just a couple little statistics about the children of the homeowners. So they're 25% more likely to graduate from high school. They're twice as likely to go to college or higher education. They're 60% less likely to give birth as an unmarried teen. They're 50% less likely to be idle or rely on welfare as they become an adult, and 59% more likely to own a home within 10 years of moving from their parents' household. And that's one of the pieces of the breaking of the generational poverty. All right, so just a few opportunities that are available. Public relations and fundraising, selecting of families, family support, church relations, office assistance, finance, construction, photography, and lunch providers. And I think Brooke knows a little bit more about these.
Yep. So in public relations, it's a committee. They're kind of responsible for creating awareness and knowledge of the mission and vision of Habitat. So when you go out and you do fundraisers, kind of the face of the organization, and you can get involved that way. There's also a family committee, and this they meet and evaluate the criteria that's used to select partner families. So they review applications, they screen people, they interview, and then they get together and kind of make a recommendation for the families they think kind of meet the requirements or at the top of the list. That way the board can take a look and approve those families. You can also get involved with family support, and that's you can be a mentor with the families, and you're kind of the primary liaison between Habitat and the partner family, and you kind of help them out throughout the process of the home build. Anytime they might need assistance, you're just kind of there to be the go-between. The church relations, there are committees that go out into the community to engage churches to join the efforts of Habitat, get them to either help volunteer, do some fundraisers and that type of thing. Office assistants, they always need help just doing simple things in the office like data entry or working on special projects, running errands, answering phones, and just making calls on a day-to-day basis. You can volunteer that way. They also have a finance committee, and they kind of review the work of treasurers. They offer their support, just different suggestions, guidance, and feedback on how Habitat is utilizing their money. And then they make sure they review bank accounts and also research and review all the bids and contracts that are used when building the houses, hiring contractors, that sort of thing, making sure everything's on budget. So if you're good at finance, that's a niche that you can get into. Then there is the popular construction. And people like to volunteer. They do usually one day during the week and then most Saturdays. And you don't have to have any special skill level. They ask that you're 16. But other than that, you really don't have to have any kind of prior experience, and they will provide all the training and the tools that you'll need the day you're volunteering. So it's really a big learning opportunity, and anyone can get involved in that area. They also utilize photographers, so they have a little 2-hour sections that you can go and take pictures of volunteers working on the job site or any of those public relations or fundraising type of things you can get involved with as a photographer as well. And then they always need lunch and site hosts. You can order a meal for them and pay for that. You can make the lunches, bring them to the site, and at the site you can also help by greeting and checking in volunteers. And it's just great that they have all these opportunities, because there is some place that you can volunteer. I mean, you're going to fit into probably one of those categories. So it's great that they have so many opportunities. It's not just about the construction part for them. So that's a little about their volunteer opportunities. And so when we observed our community around the Quad Cities, we really saw a need for safe housing. In the area, there's a lot of rundown areas, unsafe housing, things that need refreshed, maybe houses people shouldn't be living in. And that's a big need in the Quad City area, Davenport, Moline, East Moline, Bettendorf kind of thing. And so we thought that Habitat really helped fit that need. That was pretty obvious to us. And like with what we've been telling you, that's what they do. They try to get people into safe housing in a steady environment. So that is why we chose Habitat.
So when we started thinking about what we wanted to do for our project, we thought really deeply about that low-income, unsafe housing that Brooke just chatted about. So this was our project proposal. So with a team of other volunteers and potentially the prospective homeowner, we will help to build or finish a house for a low-income family. Each project will be different, which means it will depend on where the organization needs the most help as to where we will be assigned to work and what tasks will be done. So at the very beginning, that was kind of our proposal, and I think we followed it very well. We had 3 different sites where we did 3 very different things and met 3 very different families. The thread that kind of went through it was being able to help finish the house for the low-income family. So the very first house that we went to was over in Moline, Illinois. Here's a picture of the outside of the house. And it was house number 114 that had been built by Habitat. So we were assigned to paint, and that seems like a really small little piece of the puzzle of you're painting a room. Anybody can do that. That's not that hard. But being able to actually converse with the future homeowner, learn about his situation, where each of his family members would be living, it gave the actual painting process a little bit more meaning. Walking in, you can see the before picture. The walls were textured, but they were very unfinished. It looked like a very unfinished room. So we got to painting, and you can see in the after that it's starting to look a little bit more like a home. The walls are white, but that's at least something that they're finished. So that was our first project. And it gave us a really good taste of being able to get the swing of what does it mean to volunteer for Habitat? How do you work well with the other people that are volunteering? How do you work really well and get to know the future homeowner and be able to seriously listen to what this experience means to them?
Our second house we worked on was house number 110, and they kind of work on all these houses at the same time. And it was in Davenport. And so when we showed up, they were getting one house ready to sheetrock. So we kind of helped clear out that house. And then we started working on 110, which they didn't really have good access in and out of the house. So our job was to start on the deck construction. And it's kind of, we had like a slow go because there weren't enough supplies there. The post pads weren't quite poured in the right place. So we had a lot of things to work out. And it's a little slower than I thought it would be, and there's a lot more complications. But the one thing that was great about it is they don't have like this timeline that you have to get this done and then get onto this. They made volunteering very fun. It wasn't like we felt rushed. They took the time to decide how they were going to do it, what materials they needed, ways to like improvise with some of the materials that they had so the costs wouldn't increase. So it was really a good learning situation. And then the afternoon went really well. We got most of it up and constructed. And then we did have to leave just a temporary top on it and then some stairs so that they could get in and out. But very important piece of the puzzle because you can't get in and out of your home without stairs. So it did feel like we were really doing something that contributed on that day. And at the end of the day, everything went well. So it was a good volunteer day.
Yep. And then our third experience was House 112. And you'll notice that that address is very, very close to our second experience, house number 110. They're actually neighbors, which is a really, really fun experience to be able to share that these two families will be able to have a shared experience, that their house was constructed by wonderful volunteers, and they were able to kind of help each other out in the building process. So this house, as you can see, was not quite as far along as House 110, which we had just previously worked on. And we had cleaned out the house to do some drywalling. So on our third experience day, we were able to actually start putting up the drywall. In the upstairs. There was quite a big team that day. And so half the team went upstairs to drywall, half the team stayed downstairs. Brooke and I worked on the upstairs. You can see us working our magic with our drywall screws and setter, and really being able to have an experience where we felt we're actually contributing. It's easy to see, the 2x4s up and, the studs up, and then being able to actually see, look, we're putting walls on a bedroom. Look, we're putting walls on a bathroom. So that was a really great experience to be able to see the house coming together a little bit more.
So our group objectives were the volunteer experience will help us work with people we don't know to accomplish a shared goal, which in this case is building a home. This will be a skill that will be used daily when we're working in the health science environment. And I feel we really accomplished that. We utilized our hours working to construct parts of these 3 different houses, and we learned a lot of different skills along the way. And really good experience to meet that objective, just building and getting to know the homeowners, learning different construction techniques, how to interact with people. The second objective was this volunteer experience will help us learn more about people in our community and how to relate and empathize with those that have less than we do. We will be serving many different income levels when in the health science environment. So it's a really important objective. And we were able to meet some of the homeowners to accomplish this objective. And we were able to see how we were helping them. They were really grateful. And you could really, when you meet them, it's a lot easier to empathize with what they're going through instead of just seeing someone else from afar, when you get to know like why they're in those situations and why they need assistance with housing. It kind of puts more things into perspective and you're able to empathize a little bit more with them that way. Our third objective was the volunteer experience will teach us new skills that we can then share with others in our community. By learning new skills, we will be practicing keeping an open mind, which can help in our daily lives in the health science environment. I feel we were able to accomplish this with just, first of all, like finding like new ways to do things, like different techniques with the paint, drywall, building the deck. I mean, we were able to learn new skills that maybe we didn't have before. Even though we've all probably painted, there were different codes, different ways to build things, different tools that I hadn't seen before for a drywall, that type of thing. So that was a real big learning experience. And it was also a good learning experience to work with other people that you wouldn't normally do those type of things with. And so that made it really nice learning opportunity as well, just doing harder things with people that you don't normally interact with. So I think that really helped with that objective 3 as well. And then servant leadership concepts that I think we're really involved with in our volunteering and our projects, listening and understanding with the green leaf. I feel we're really able to like listen to the homeowners, to their stories, how they arrived at this point in their life. Not only that, there are a number of volunteers who just like pour their life story out to you. They volunteer maybe because they're retired. They want still interaction with people, and it's really interesting to listen to their stories as well. And then acceptance and empathy. It's kind of important for us to listen and not judge future homeowners for why they're in that situation. And when you really get to know them, you understand, and you're able to be a little bit more empathetic and accepting of where they are in their life, because not everything is because of choices that they made, and that type of thing. The growth mindset, it really, Habitat shows the growth mindset. They believe anyone can help in any area. They're willing to teach. They have all the tools. Just a great opportunity to learn that you can grow and do other things outside even of the normal things you do. Like, not everybody drywalls and knows how to do that, but they really emphasize that you can help everywhere. So it kind of just shows the growth mindset there. And then Catherine, it was dedicated to the growth of others. So when she saw a need in her community and helped, and she taught and provided shelter for those in need. And that's kind of some of the principles that Habitat helps with, and that their volunteers portray. So we were able to assist in that as well.
So when we take a look at the Mercy core values, I think we were able to see our work in each of them. So with the knowledge, just being able to gain knowledge about the population that we were serving, and how we can improve their well-being, as well as expanding our knowledge of the community as a whole. Reverence, this one was a little bit tougher because it is something that is more of a feeling, that you really have that spirit and respect of the awe. So when we started really thinking deep down about it, it really does kind of make you speechless when you're sitting and listening to the future homeowners and listening to their stories, being able to really appreciate that they are putting in a whole bunch of work in it just to improve their life and the life of their children and their future family. But really being able to listen to how they're persisting through the challenges that have been handed to them, and really being respectful of that when we're listening and not judging, as Brooke had said. Integrity. So this is something that I think really helped out with our project. So being able to improve on our moral wholeness, the soundness of honesty and the sincerity that we have when we are speaking to populations that we might not interact with every day. Learning how to be trustworthy and how to serve others, and learning how to work to our best ability and the hardest that we can. Compassion. So this is the one that I think really hits home with this situation. So being able to feel for others and being able to share with their sorrows and their joys. So we were there being able to listen to the hardships that these future families have endured, but being able to see how joyful and how excited they are new journey, being able to have their own home, being a homeowner for the first time. And then excellence. So this is something that, in the building process, you have to have a certain level of excellence, right? There are building codes that need to be met. And you also need to, think about, this is going to be someone's home. And if this was your home, you would want all the walls to match. You would want all the baseboards to be put in nicely, and, decks built to the best of their ability to be solid. So excellence is something that we worked on, being able to say, oh, you know what, that drywall screw, it sunk. We need to put in a new one, even though, it would be easier just to go, whatever, it's only one. So being able to really think about how this home is going to impact someone. So future possibilities. There are thousands upon thousands of future possibilities. As Brooke said, there are many different ways that we could volunteer with Habitat. But 4 that we thought of that we'd really love to do in the future is follow a complete home build from start to finish. While we were there, like in a couple months, they're going to be digging the foundation for a new home. So being able to see that from the very start all the way to the finish. They're going to be dedicating a house in June, the one that we put the deck on. So it would be really cool to see. Attending a home dedication ceremony, and then meeting the family of all the projects. So we got to meet 3 of the families, which was really, really fun. But there are many, many different families in the community, and being able to maybe visit a family that's lived in their home for a little bit would be really cool to see how homeownership has impacted them. And of course, helping with a fundraiser. So a lot of money goes into building the homes, being able to help support the families through the classes and all that kind of stuff. So being able to participate in one of those fundraisers would be a really fun experience.
Some future ideas that we thought would be good for Mercy at Habitat would be like doing a large class project, like the whole class going out and having a volunteer day, and getting to do one of those volunteer areas. And it could just be helping at one of the shops, or in the office, or doing things for a fundraiser, even doing the construction part itself. Any of the volunteer options they have would be really great for a class to do together. Another thing is like a Mercy Volunteer Day, kind of like they have like a John Deere Day, or a large company like a Principal Day, where they go and volunteer and have the entire Mercy student population volunteer would be awesome to see as well. And then to kind of wrap it up, I think it was an incredible learning experience. I definitely recommend it to other people. And in the future, I definitely consider doing volunteer time with Habitat, and even in Habitat in Des Moines versus Quad City, to see kind of how they differ. Really great learning experiences. Amazing to actually get to meet the people that were going to live in the homes, and meeting the volunteers. Some of them are phenomenal. They spend every weekend there, and these people aren't getting paid, but they are really just passing it down to future generations to get them where they need to be and kind of help their community out. So it's great to see all that.
All right, so here are our references, and then I am going to close that out, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So, excuse me, just kind of in closing, I think this was a great experience, and I'm really glad that we chose Habitat for Humanity for our project. It was very empowering to be able to construct something, right? But very humbling to be able to work with the families and know that this was their future home.
Yeah, it's really a great learning opportunity, and I'm glad we had the chance to do it.
Yep. All righty. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.